The reputation of reliable and durable vehicles suitable for specific Russian operating conditions was earned by IVECO daily back in the 1990s, and a number of carriers, having appreciated the merits of these vehicles in practice, remain faithful to the Italian brand to this day. Small tonnage models of most companies have modifications with a carrying capacity of more than 2 tons, that is, in fact, they entered the class of medium-duty vehicles. But, as a rule, we are talking about the top version of limited demand. In IVECO, the opposite is true. Daily is focused mainly on those who like not only to load, but also to reload, so the main modifications in the range are medium-duty ones, with a gross weight of up to 7 tons with a carrying capacity of up to 4,700 kilograms. True, in Russia, given the practice of commercial structures to put junior managers and warehouse workers behind the wheel of trucks, 3.5-ton versions belonging to Category B are very popular. All modifications, including the lightest, that is, with a gross weight of 3,200 kilograms, are based on a full-fledged frame chassis and have a classic layout with rear-wheel drive. All metal van bodies are also bolted to the frame spars, and are not welded into the load-bearing frame, as with rivals from Germany and France. The fleets of Russian carriers are dominated by IVECO daily generations of 2006, pre-styling and released after the 2009 update. A lot remained on the move in cars of the 1999 model of the year, with rectangular headlights. But they are gradually being replaced by a new generation of cars, introduced in 2011. In the designation of modifications, the conditional gross weight is given in hundreds of kg, the first 2 digits, then there is a letter indicating the family, L, S, or C, and then the engine power, rounded in tens of horsepower. For example, 10 corresponds to a 96 horsepower motor, S, 12 to 116 L, S, 14 to 136 horsepower, S, 15 to 146 horsepower, S, 21 to 205 years old. With, in different years, there were complete sets of engines, indicated by the numbers 11, 17, 18, etc. At the end of the marking, there may be 1 or 2 more letters indicating the type of body or cab, V, all-metal van, H, single-row cab, D2, double-row cab. The L family includes vans and chassis with single rear wheels with a gross weight of 3,200 to 3,300 kilograms, Series 29, and a payload capacity of 1.2 to 1.6 tons. We have almost none of them in Russia. In recent years, dealers have not ordered the 29L version, but the importer does not certify it. The S family, represented by machines with a gross weight of 3,500 kilograms, like L, is distinguished by single rear wheels and front suspension on a transverse single-leaf spring made of composite material. Such cars are also rare in Russia, since dealers also offer 3.5-ton, but much more enduring daily of the C family for almost the same money, with dual wheels at the rear and torsion bar suspension at the front. In addition to 35C machines, the family includes versions with indexes 40C, 45C, 50C, 60C, 65C, and 70C, but of these, only the 50th, 65th, and 70th are officially sold in Russia. Daily for all sales markets is produced exclusively in Italy, at a factory in the city of Cesara, Lombardy region, and the VIN number always starts with ZCF. As the experience of carriers shows, in Russian operating conditions, characterized by chronic overloads of vehicles, frosty winters, and not always qualified service, 3-liter F1C engines turned out to be noticeably more reliable on IVECO daily. They are much less likely to be loaded to the limit than 2.3-liter F1A, which favorably affects the service life before overhaul. In good hands, this 3-liter engine takes care of 700 or more thousand kilometers. In addition, he, unlike his younger brother, produced at the same Sofan plant in the city of Foggia, Puglia region, is equipped not with a belt, but with the timing chain drive, and he is in danger of turning the belt on the pulley, and even more so, a brake, with subsequent breakdowns of parts and expensive repairs. This is not uncommon on F1A vehicles operated in the northern and Siberian regions. Sometimes the engine can be disabled by an unsuccessful attempt to start from a tow. In addition, belt rotation is characteristic of 2.3-liter engines after the formation of a water plug in the breather. The oil squeezed out through the seals gets on the rubber timing belt or washes out the grease from the tensioner roller. Another problem with breathers, fortunately, has been eliminated by IVECO, but on machines of previous generations, it is very likely that water will enter the cavity of the drive axle through the crankcase ventilation system. True, for this you need to completely immerse the bridge in a fairly deep puddle. If this happens, it is advisable to immediately drive the car into the pit and drain the emulsion from the bridge. Then rinse its cavity with fresh oil, drain again and fill up to a normal level. If this is not done in time, a bulkhead of the assembly threatens to replace bearings, and in especially neglected cases, gears. The durability of suspension parts largely depends on the condition of the roads in a given region. According to carriers, the replacement of asphalt in the city sometimes significantly reduces the cost of spare parts. If the load capacity standards are observed, the springs and torsion bars can be considered eternal, but combinations of overloads with shaking on the bumps of provincial roads lead to subsidence and breakdown of the elastic elements of the suspension. There are practically no cases of frame deformation. From time to time, daily owners replace starters, generators, and other electrical components. This is not too expensive, and most importantly, it does not delay the car in idle time for service. There are almost no problems with gearboxes, steering and brakes. These components on the daily are made very soundly. As for the use of non-original spare parts, each carrier decides in its own way. It is fundamentally important for someone to save money, and there is a reason for this, even if the original part, for example, suspension joints, does not go for a long time in these difficult conditions. If the failure of any part is purely accidental or it has traveled more than 100,000 kilometers before, then many consider it good not to take risks and install the original spare part, which will give a reason to forget about this unit for a few more years. Well, in the case of consumables, especially if we are talking about a fleet with more than a dozen of the same type of cars, the practice of carriers shows that it is rational to purchase a non-original from a reputable company. On brake discs or pads, for example, you can save a lot of money.